All right, we should be good to go.
This CPOC meeting is hereby called to order. The time is now 6:25 p.m. My name is Hassan Bennett. I am the interim chair of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, and I will be facilitating this meeting. This is a public meeting of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission that was properly advertised pursuant to the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. And with that being said, I will now call roll. Commissioners, please acknowledge you are here by saying your name. I'm here or present. Commissioner Melanie DeBose.
Present.
Commissioner, good evening, Commissioner DeBose. Commissioner Enix Kenny.
Michelle Enix Kenny, present.
Commissioner Enix Kenny is present. I think your Wi-Fi you're going in and out. But Commissioner Enix Kenny is present for the record. Commissioner, good evening, Commissioner. Commissioner Gilberto Gonzalez.
Commissioner Gonzalez present. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioner. Commissioner Malika Rockman.
Commissioner Rockman present.
Good evening, Commissioner. Commissioner Hakeem P.A. Attorney Twigg, is Commissioner P.A. on the meeting?
Not that I can see.
Commissioner P.A. is absent, and this is an unexcused absence. Commissioner John Solomon.
Commissioner Solomon, present.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening.
Commissioner Erica Stewart.
Commissioner Erica Stewart, present.
Good evening, Commissioner. Commissioner Latanya Whitehead.
Commissioner Whitehead, present. Good evening, Chair.
Good evening, Commissioner. With that being said, we now have a full quorum. That is 8 out of 9 of the commissioners are present. We will move on to commissioner business. Has everyone had a chance to review tonight's meeting agenda?
Yes.
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 Do I hear a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda?
This is Commissioner DeBose. I move for the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting.
For the record, that is Commissioner DeBose motioning to approve tonight's meeting agenda. Does anyone second that motion?
Commissioner Solomon, I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Solomon seconds that motion. All in favor of approving tonight's meeting agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All those not in favor of approving tonight's meeting agenda, please say nay. And with that, the ayes have it. Has everyone had a chance to review the June meeting minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion?
This is Commissioner DeBose. I move for the approval of the meetings for June 12th and June 26th.
That is Commissioner DeBose motioning to approve the meeting minutes for June 12th and June 26th. Does anyone second that motion?
This is Commissioner Rockman. I second the motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 12th and June 26th with the correction that Council Twigg made regarding the change of the word agenda to minutes to reflect the proper conversation in that meeting.
And with that said, all in favor of approving these meeting minutes, please say aye.
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 All those not in favor of approving the June meeting minutes, please say nay. And with that, the ayes have it. The June meeting minutes have been approved. Next is the election of officers. From last week, I was nominated as chair. Does anyone else wish to nominate somebody and or self-nominate? Do we hear a motion to approve the chair? We don't have to go around and have a motion. I'll go around one by one and ask for approval as for myself as chair, or would this be anonymous? Catherine, I'm asking you.
Yeah, Chair, I think that you would be looking for a motion to take a vote on the position, on your nomination to the position of chair. And then once we get a second and that's approved, then we take a vote, and you can do it as a roll call vote, or you can do it as a verbal vote where everyone says aye or nay, as you prefer.
Okay.
I would suggest potentially talking about nominations for other positions first, just in case, just so that we can officially close nominations for any position first.
Okay. Does anyone have any additional nominations for chair, vice chair, and secretary? For the record, Commissioner Rockman was nominated for vice chair, and it was a split vote nomination for secretary by Commissioner Enix Kenny and Commissioner John Solomon.
Chair,
yes.
if I may, and you accepted your nomination for chair, and Commissioner Rockman accepted the nomination for vice chair. The nominations for secretary, we need to check in with those commissioners to see if they accept or decline those nominations.
Thank you, Catherine.
Commissioner
Solomon.
Solomon.
You have the floor, Commissioner Solomon.
Hear me?
I can hear you.
I'll be declining the nomination of secretary.
Commissioner John Solomon will be can I be heard? Yeah. Commissioner John Solomon has declined the nomination of secretary. I will now, Commissioner Kenny, Enix Kenny, are you still with us?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm here. Thank you so much again for the nomination. I respectfully decline.
And with that, we appreciate you. I'm happy to have you on this commission, Commissioner. Both of the commissioners, I'm happy to have you on this commission. If anything changes, please let us know as soon as it changes, but we appreciate your service as commissioners on the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. With that being said, does anyone else have a nomination for secretary? And since there's no nominations for secretary, we will leave the secretarial position open at this time, and in hopes that we can fill it in at a later date. All right. Commissioner Malika Rahman was voted in as vice chair. Commissioner Rahman, do you still accept that nomination?
Commissioner Bennett, yes, I do, Chair. I do accept the nomination. And I would just like to add one thing in regards to our needing a secretary, if that's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
So for the purposes of ensuring that we have proper coverage for our executive sessions, perhaps we can consider what that looks like for us, for those of us who will be in executive session, to share and fill in that responsibility so that it's not just on one individual person. right? Because I do recognize that we all have heavy loads that we are lifting, but I think that also that we have the capacity to work together.
Mhm.
And there is nothing against Robert's Rules of Order for us to do that collectively. The only
Mhm.
thing that would be a concern is that if you were out and I had to oversee a meeting, that I would not be able to operate in that capacity at that time. But that is something that we can all collectively do, and that is within the Robert's Rules of Order and our capacity as commission members. So that's just something for us to consider that may work for all of us.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Like to say, this is Commissioner Whitehead. I would wholeheartedly be on.
Chair, I think you were on mute.
Is it my phone or is everyone going in and out? Kinda everyone's going in and out, or is it kinda my phone,
No,
Kathy?
I think it's signal. It was a little going in and out.
Okay, so with that being said, we can all pitch in some capacity for secretary, and if any commissioner feels at any time that, hey, the secretary role fits me, or I think the secretary role fits another commissioner, feel free to make that nomination. So with that, I'll start with our nominated, the nomination of vice chair. Um, do I hear a motion to accept Commissioner Malika Rockbond as Catherine? Hold on with this one. Put yourself back on mute, please. Let me do this. Do I hear a motion to accept Commissioner Malika Rockbond as vice chair of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission? Somebody, anybody.
I make the motion to have Commissioner Rockman as vice chair.
That is Commissioner Gilberto Gonzalez motioning that we accept, that we hold a vote, right, Commissioner Gonzalez?
Correct.
That we
Yes.
hold a vote, a quorum vote, to approve Commissioner Malika Rockman as vice chair. And does anyone second that motion?
Second motion to vote for.
That is Commissioner Latanya Whitehead seconding that motion. So with that being said, with respects to our proposed vice chair, I will go around individually to see, to get the nays, the ayes of the nays. Commissioner Enix Kenny.
You already know without hesitation, it is an absolute yes. Yes, 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 and yes.
We have Commissioner Melanie DeVoe. Commissioner DeVoe. Catherine has something to say. Can somebody unmute Attorney Twig?
Catherine has DeBose on her line. I think she's trying to unmute herself and having some issues.
Okay, then we'll go around.
That is
Commissioner
correct.
Whitehead.
I'm sorry, Chair Bennett. Commissioner DeBose, you can vote now.
This is Commissioner DeBose voting aye for the position of vice chair appointed to Commissioner Rockman.
Commissioner Whitehead.
Yes, yes, and yes for Commissioner Rotman to be co-chair.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
My vote is yes. Thank you.
Commissioner Solomon.
Commissioner Solomon, I vote yes for Commissioner Rockman to be vice chair.
Commissioner Stewart.
Commissioner Stewart, I vote for Commissioner Rockman to be.
And Commissioner Rockman.
Well, I can't vote for myself, but I humbly accept. uh, I humbly accept the nomination and look forward to serving with each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
And my vote, of course, was yes. And with that, Commissioner Rockman is now the vice chair of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then next,
Congratulations.
congratulations, congratulations. Anybody have any last words to say? Well, not last words. Any supporting words to say to Commissioner Rockman before we move on?
Congratulations, sis.
Thank you.
And with
This is
that,
Commissioner Michelle Phoenix Kennedy, and I just want to say that it's certainly a natural extension of your passion. A lot of times we fulfill and do things that are already in our wheelhouse, and I definitely think that you have been rolling the wheels on this train with this level of expertise for a while, and it's just a pleasure to, as you say, experience your leadership capacity in this role. So I celebrate you and I'm here to support you, sister to sister, commissioner, commissioner, friend to friend. You'll be great.
and with that being said, I appreciate you. When I saw your name as one of the in the selection at that of the commissioners that's the selection panel picked, I was excited. Um, Not only because of your work in the field, but because your passion, because your experience, because your passion, because your know-how and the different look that you bring to this commission. You know, I told y'all from day one that I'll be giving you guys calls, and we'll had this one-on-one conversations, and since then, your insight has been a big assistance to me and the rest of the commission. You know, we had those conversations often, and you open up my eyes to different views that I would have seen. I would not have seen without you. And I appreciate you, and I am. It is an honor to have you serving not only on the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, but as a leader. You've been a leader in this organization since you've arrived, but as an acknowledged leader, I appreciate you, your service, and everyone else that has seen or viewed you fit for this role. So thank you. And her response was in writing. Thank you, everyone. I truly appreciate your service to the community and support as a commissioner. Golden Heart prayer hands. Well fitting, well fitting. Next, Catherine.
Chair, before you go on, I did just want to very quickly clarify for Commissioner Rockman, there's nothing in the rules that prohibits you from voting in support of your own taking on this role. So I can mark you down as an abstention, or I can mark it as a unanimous vote for yourself.
You can mark it as unanimous.
I would be pleased to do so. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here we go. Next, we move on to chair. Do I hear a motion for chair?
This is Commissioner Rockman here. I call and make a motion for us to call to a vote the nomination of Chair Commissioner Hassan Bennett.
Does anyone second that vote?
This is Commissioner Whitehead. I second that vote for Commissioner Bennett to be chair. Yes, bro.
Thank you, thank you. And I accept, and with that being said, we'll do it the same way. No, we'll do it like this. All in favor of the interim chair, Hassan Bennett, becoming the chair of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, say aye.
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 All those not in favor say nay. And with that, the ayes have it. And I did it that way so we didn't stretch this meeting out as longer than it needs to be. So I now open up the floor for comments.
You didn't do that so the meeting wouldn't be longer. You did that so you could try to make sure that we didn't have you on this meeting blushing. That's why you did that. we know you now, Chair, okay? We know you by now, okay? Okay? So we are going to return the favor and tell you that we thank you for your leadership. You have been a strong advocate and support for all of us. You made sure that our onboarding process that it was well informed. You walked with us. You shared with us the history of CPOC for those that were unaware. You made sure that your team came in and was able to operate as a well-oiled machine. And I think that our synergy, I think that our ability to work cohesively is a reflection of what you brought in when we came here. So thank you for being a good leader, even without the title. You showed up even when it was challenging. And you did that because you truly believe in this. So I think that even though we know how humble your heart is and how much you would like to stay outside of the light, that I think that the whole city of Philadelphia needs to know that the chair of CPOC is a true leader at heart. So we thank you.
Thank you. Let's find out what's the next on this agenda.
Ditto, ditto, ditto.
I just want to say thank you, Commissioner Bennett. From day one, you have been on point. You have been a strength for all of us. And I truly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
I appreciate all of you for allowing me a voice in the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. It's been quite a road for us all. I know Commissioner Enos Kenny calls us the founders, and what's the next one? Give me the next five.
No.
The founding four and
Yes. So that's Commissioner DeBose, she needs to hear this because she's the person that said it to me first.
Talk
So
to me.
I call you guys the founding four, and she called us the newly minted five. But to
And
that end, I just want to say, I too respect and thank you for your leadership and in the way that everyone else has expressed, but more importantly, because you stayed when everybody else left. That's a real difficult thing to do. And I appreciate you and the four that held it down so that we can now ascend to this spot. So that in addition to, but yes, Elder Melody, did you hear that? The newly minted five?
Yes, I heard you. Thank you.
the founding four
Yes.
and the newly
Quote,
minted
unquote.
five. And with that, we make the commissioners of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. Now, I'm just happy that, well, I'm thankful that you guys allowed me a voice and you listened to me. Not only heard me, but you actually listened to me and applied it and put your trust in the commission. Because when you guys first came, it was I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how it would gel, and we worked together as a unit to ensure everybody's voice is heard. Everybody has the information because as someone delightfully said in this commission, there is no oversight without insight. And that's my number one objective, is to ensure everyone's voice is being heard and ensure everyone has the know-how, the experience, the education to make an adequate, intelligent, and knowing decision as a commissioner on a Citizens Police Oversight Commission. And that includes our 10th commissioner. We won't say no names, but that definitely includes our 10th commissioner. And with that being said, I thank you, and I hand the meeting over to our Executive Director, Ms. Tanya McClary.
Well, good evening, everyone, and I'm excited about our new officers, and staff, as always, looks forward to working with the commission. So as the slides are being put up, I just want to alert the commission and the community that we are hiring. And so it's very exciting. So you all will start to see some new faces in CPOC. And one of the divisions that I'm really excited about is the data division. And so we are hiring a director for that division. And I'm excited to see who that person will be and how they will help us really bring our data to life and to help us, because we collect a lot of data. I think as the public knows, and you'll be hearing from some folk today, both Director Guy and Director Zajac, about a lot of this data. So I'm excited about that. So just stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned as we start to continue to grow and bring more things to the community of Philadelphia. And so with that, just want to remind people about our mission. So the mission of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission is to oversee and investigate the conduct, policies, and practices of the Philadelphia Police Department. And so currently CPOC receives complaints of misconduct. We audit and monitor internal affairs investigations and police disciplinary processes. We sit and vote on PBI panels at police disciplinary hearings. We conduct oversight of police shootings, analyze police data, develop policy recommendations and reports, and engage in outreach and training. And so why is it important? Oversight protects human rights. It promotes constitutional policing, increases public confidence and trust in the police, builds bridges between law enforcement and public, supports effective policing, ensures greater accountability, and enhanced risk management. And I want to talk a little bit about promotes constitutional policing. So hopefully the commissioners, I know they remember, but for those of members of the public that may not have been here, you heard from our Director of Investigations, Nick Cotto, at our first meeting this month that talked about the new case that came down from the Supreme Court in terms of how police are supposed to be engaging and looking at uses of force. And so currently most police departments only look at what happened at the moment that the officer pulled their weapon and used it, or used their taser, whatever it is. They just look at the moment that the deadly force was used. And the Supreme Court has now said, which a lot of us have been wanting police to do all along, is that you need to look into the totality of how this shooting came to be, how this use of force came to be. And so one of the things that, given that mandate that we've always done, but we're going to make sure that we continue to do and talk with PPD about that, is to really start discussing more robustly with them officer-involved shootings, looking at the totality of what happened and how the officer came to be involved in this incident in the first place. So we are looking forward to engaging PPD more on that particular issue, but also bringing that analysis to the community when we start to about the completed investigations around shooting. So that's one of the ways that we promote constitutional policing, because that is now a part of how police departments are supposed to analyze and investigate officer-involved shootings. And so with that, we're going to go to our next slide. And I'm going to turn it over to Director Guy to talk about our complaints for the month of June.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to put in the chat right now. The complaint report for our complaints that we referred in June is now up on the website. We referred 25 complaints in the month of June. You can go to the next slide, Catherine. And this is just some variations of some of the complaints that we saw in the month of June. I'll read through some of these just descriptions of some of the complaints of those 25 complaints that we referred to internal affairs. And these are summaries of allegations made by complainants which have not been investigated yet, and they do not represent any findings or facts or conclusions at this point. One complainant was issued a citation for having an expired vehicle inspection sticker, despite having a valid temporary inspection. Another complainant was leaving the Pride Festival. He saw an officer was asking for his name. The officer made a homophobic comment, so the complainant tried to record the officer. The officer struck the complainant and knocked his phone out of the complainant's hand, then continued using force on him. Another officer de-escalated the situation, and the complainant was released with a citation. The video of the first officer was erased. Another complainant went to the district to file a missing persons report for a child and their family. The officer at the front window interrupted the complainant and did not assist her in filing the report. The officers were rude and the complainant cursed at them. Next slide. A complainant took their daughter to SVU. The complainant believes that the officer handling their case were competent and didn't properly investigate. Another complainant, an officer was harassing a female worker at a Dunkin' Donuts. While she was working, the officer kept hanging out at the counter, asking her questions about her daily routine, etc., and trying to hit on her. She asked him repeatedly to leave and was verbally quite frustrated. The other staff were visibly becoming concerned, and bystanders were taking notice. The complainant witnessed this while they were in the Dunkin' for at least 10 minutes, and then they left before the officer did. Another complaint, the complainant was in a car accident. Information about the other driver was listed incorrectly on the police report, but the officer has not responded to multiple contact attempts by the complainant for her insurance. You can go to the next slide. So these are the demographics for the month of June. So this specifically breaks down those 25 complaints that were referred in the month of June, looking at both race and ethnicity. We can go to the next slide. And this shows we've referred 129 complaints to internal affairs so far in the calendar year 2025. And this breaks down those demographics of both race and ethnicity as well for the full year. I'm gonna also note, I didn't know this on the last slide, but we've added to the ledger so we can see everything that we are, our options. This was something that came up at our last meeting by Commissioner Stewart. Specifically, the commissioner was asking about gender, which you'll see on the next slide, but we wanted to include it for race and ethnicity demographics as well. So these are all the options that anyone can select, and you'll see whether or not those selections have been added to our pie charts based on the self-reporting of complainants on their complaint forms. We can go to the next slide. These are those gender breakdowns of both the 25 complaints that we referred in the month of June, as well as the year-to-date distribution for those. We can go to the next slide. This slide shows all of the percent breakdown of all of those allegations of complaints that we've referred throughout the year. Again, as it notes on the side, one single complainant can have multiple allegations, so we just like to notate that. And then on the next slide, we break down the departmental violations, which is our second highest allegation. And that just shows some of the different types, since departmental violation can be sort of vague. And so we like to show all the different things that might fall under that category, like improper stops and detention, proper arrest, violations of directives, and improper search and seizure. Those are sort of the highest departmental violations that we see. Go on to the next slide. This is a breakdown of the zip codes of where these complaint incidents are happening, and shows this heat map of the brighter colors are where higher volumes of complaints are happening, and so on. And then if we go to the next slide, it will show that same breakdown, but it's by district, since we wanted to report on that as well. And I believe that's the last of my slides. If there's any questions from the commissioners, I'd be happy to take them.
Hi, this is Commissioner Gonzalez. I have a question about the police shooting in May. You just mentioned that it's on our website, and I'm on there now, and I see the May 21st shooting, but I don't see the incident summary.
That's separate from complaints. I think Tanya maybe mentioned that that Catherine might be able to answer that question.
Right.
We
Or
might
we
not
could
be
save
able
it.
to.
Yeah,
We could save it for when it comes up.
that is separate from complaints, officer involved shootings, are captured in the complaint data. We actually did take the summary down because we're doing some updates to it. So we expect it to be back up in the next few days. Because we've actually we decided to change the format of how we do our summaries. So it was up there, Commissioner Gonzalez. We've taken it down because we're now changing the format in terms of how we put out the summary. So I anticipate it'll be back. It'll be in the new format, so it should be up hopefully, if not tomorrow, Monday or Tuesday of next week.
Understood. Thank you.
Awesome. I think there was someone else who maybe had unmuted that might have had a question.
I want to check in with Commissioner Stewart. We appreciated your comments from last time and we tried to address those. So if you wanted to say something now, if you wanted to give us some other direct feedback, that would be great in terms of if we capture what you were hoping we were able to do on the issue that you had raised.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now.
So I would definitely say, if it's possible, can you go back to the updated slide that we saw this time?
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you. So this is very helpful with the regards of having a complaint that did come in from an individual who self-identified as, one of these additional like faces. Like that's how I look at it, is that if I saw this before I read the report, what was the person who made the report, like who is that person, right? And beforehand I felt like it was very just like 1 2 3, you only had 3 options. And I think based off of the gentleman coming in from a prior event, that says a lot in context of when people find their voice and like advocate for themselves, like even in the midst of all these events and people officers are being trained on sensitivity and trauma and things like that, these things still occur. So it made me actually grateful but appreciative that what I said was able to be demonstrated numerically and analytically. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for the feedback.
No problem.
If there's no other questions, I'll hand it off to Janine.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Good evening. So I'm here to talk about the Auditing Policy and Research Division. The slide just breaks down what our main task is at the moment, which is conducting audits into completed investigations of complaints against police. Those investigations are conducted by internal affairs investigators at the police department. And once those investigations are completed, we receive all case file materials digitally. So we receive interview memos, body-worn camera footage, the report of investigation, and we review these materials that are provided to us by the department. So we have 11 days to complete our reviews, and then we notify the police department if we have feedback for these individual investigations. So we send specific investigations when needed for these cases. The example I have on the slide is the investigator should interview all officers present or explain why officers were not interviewed. So we're checking the investigations for thoroughness, objectivity, accuracy, and just looking for everything to be spelled out so the reader can really understand what happened in the incident. This allows us to give our oversight perspective into these investigations and give feedback so we can really impact the cases while they're still open. We use the same series of questions and criteria to look at each case so we can keep our reviews consistent and objective. Okay, next slide, please. So this report's going to cover the audits that we completed in the month of June. We did 30 cases in the month of June. We had received a total of 48 cases and reviewed a total of 30, so that puts it at 62%. We reviewed 62% of the cases that were sent over to us. Of those 30 cases we looked at, 3 of them were divisional cases. As a refresher, divisional cases are those that involve only low-level misconduct, such as verbal abuse or lack of service, and these complaints are sent to the officer's direct supervisors for quicker resolution when the officer doesn't have a history of this type of complaint within the last 2 years. So 27 of the cases we looked at were full internal affairs investigations, so they got the full investigation process at internal affairs. Next slide, please. So this slide helps show the types of cases that we were looking at. Each complaint is classified when it's first taken in at internal affairs. And so we capture that category classification so we can tell everyone about the types of cases we're seeing. So in the month of June, departmental violations was the highest number of classifications present, followed by physical abuse. Physical abuse cases are not typically this common in the samples that we look at. So I wanted to include this table on the right-hand side to show what types of physical abuse were involved in these cases that we were seeing, because we don't typically see this many physical abuse cases. So sorry, this table's a little out of order, but forcibly pushed or slammed was the highest number present in this sample of physical abuse cases, followed by forcibly grabbed, and then the other ones followed behind it with just 1. For the next slide, please. So in every case that we look at, we look to see if that case classification given to it by internal affairs is accurate. They have a whole list that they can choose from when they're deciding how to classify each complaint as it comes in. And that classification stays with the case. It never gets changed and is how the department reports publicly on the types of cases and investigations that they're doing. So we want the case classification to be accurate for transparency and public reporting, but also because it can help determine if the case is getting a full investigation at internal affairs or going back to the officer's chain of command. So for all 30 of the cases we audited this month, the classification were accurate. And that is not something we see all the time. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that these classifications were all exactly as they should have been. And this was a heartening statistic to see, because it's not common that anything hits 100% in our reviews like this. So you can go to the next slide, please. So we always try to report on the incident type that's present in these cases, just so we can understand what types of interactions that people are having with the police that are leading to these complaints being filed in the first place. So vehicle stop was at 9 for this group of cases. That was the highest, followed by a response to a radio call of some kind. Last month, call for service by the complainant and vehicle stop were the 2 highest. So we see a little bit of a pattern here, with vehicle stops being a pretty frequent reason why people are filing complaints against the police. Next slide, please. So I included a chart here to show the district of occurrence for the cases we looked at in June, to show where these where these complaints and these incidents were occurring. So the 39th district was the highest in the month of June. The table on the right-hand side is the breakdown for the year to date, because we present this statistic every month, but it starts to mean a little bit more when you see how it's shaking out for a longer period of time. So over the year so far, 2025, the 19th district has the highest number of cases there at 19, and you can see the breakdown as you go down the list there. You go to the next slide, please. Okay, as we always do, we check to see if the investigation was completed within 90 business days. That's a guideline that's set forth in an executive order that governs some aspects of how these investigations are completed. So in the cases we reviewed in June, 73% of the cases were completed within 90 business days. And this is generally consistent with how the statistic has been shaking out over the last few months. It typically hovers around a 75 to 80% rate of being completed within 90 business days. We know complaints are up at Internal Affairs and their manpower is down, so maintaining the statistic is a good thing, but we are always still comparing that to the quality of the investigations as well. Next slide, please. So something that we like to check for is to see if all allegations were listed against the correct officers. By the end of an investigation, it should be very clear which officers are responsible for any alleged misconduct, and we're looking to see that the correct officers are being held accountable when appropriate. In this group of cases in the month of June, it looks like 87% of the cases had all allegations listed against the correct officers. This was almost identical to last month's statistic. This often looks like someone alleging that officers took inaction, but then the investigator shows really only one officer was responsible for the misconduct that occurred. So we want to see that allegation being listed against only the officer who was truly responsible, because we don't want to see allegations listed against people who really don't deserve to have them. We know officers have told us that allegations on their records really matter, so we want to make sure accuracy is being highlighted in this piece of the investigation. I have two examples listed here because there's an NA piece on the pie chart. So that means we're asking were allegations listed against the correct officer, and that question was not applicable in two cases. So those examples were during the Eagles Parade. A complaint was made about a bike officer, and there really was no way to identify this officer given the volume of officers who were present. The complainant did not cooperate, and so could not provide additional details to help identify that officer. So ultimately it was listed against an unknown officer. And in the other example, the complainant ultimately clarified in his interview with Internal Affairs that he had no complaint against police officers, and so no officers were interviewed, and the original allegation was closed against unknown officers. So you can go to the next slide. So we had two other statistics in the past month where there was a positive answer for 100% of the cases we looked at. So we're always looking to see if investigators exhaust all resources to identify the officers involved. We know sometimes it just isn't possible to identify officers accused of misconduct given the circumstances of the situation, but we want to see that investigators are doing everything they possibly can to figure out who may have been involved. So in 100% of the cases we looked at in June, we found the investigators took all the steps they needed to take. We also found that all of the PC memos or reports of investigation we reviewed presented a clear picture of the incident and really clearly explained everything that happened and gave the reader a good understanding of the investigation. So I said earlier, it's rare to have any of our auditing metrics hit 100% like this. So I wanted to highlight that while we do find some flaws and some things that need recommendations, we do also see some good things or positive work being done by the investigators. I want to highlight that. Next slide, please. So I know people are often curious about how often these investigations are actually finding that misconduct occurred. So I wanted to highlight those statistics here. 1/3 of the cases we looked at in June had one or more sustained findings in them, meaning they found misconduct did occur. And most of those cases sustained at least one allegation that was originally made by the complainant. So that means that the investigations aren't just finding minor administrative errors that officers are making. The investigations are sustaining the allegations originally made by the complainant, and those concerns are being addressed. I highlight here that this is unusual. We often see administrative violations or errors being sustained at a much higher rate. So it's nice to see that when people are reporting misconduct and it really did occur, it's being brought to light in these investigations. Go to the next slide, please. And as I've mentioned, we provide feedback and recommendations for these cases when we find it's necessary to improve the investigation. Of the 27 full investigations that we audited, we sent feedback memos for 15 or slightly more than half. In 2024, we had feedback for about 70% of cases. So this is a positive change. We're going down in the number of cases that we are finding errors in and sending slightly fewer recommendations or memos than we have in the past. Next slide, please. And I wanted to highlight the recommendations that we did make in the month of June, so everyone can see what errors or flaws we might be seeing in these investigations. The highest recommendation by far was the recommendation to add missing administrative violations. So even though we know investigators are often sustaining officers for administrative violations like body-worn camera issues or not doing reports properly, we still find often that these are the things investigators are kind of glossing over and not calling out in their investigations. We made a total of 34 recommendations, and that was in 15 feedback memos. So typically we were sending more than one recommendation per case. If we were seeing one error or flaw, we were typically seeing more than one along with that. Thanks. And I always like to highlight why these things matter. We're always trying to promote consistency across investigations. Consistency is really critical for the accountability process. If cases are not handled the same across the board, there's a lot of room to question the process and things can fall through the cracks. We remain interested in standardizing investigations wherever possible to ensure this consistency. So there are some recommendations to come in the auditing report about all the cases we did in 2024, which is still in the works, that will be made to help make our recommendations about standardizing how some of these investigations are done so that everything can be consistent. I think that might be my last slide. You can go to the next, Catherine, if it's not. Oh, there's one more. Other recent work. Our team is continuing to do our body-worn camera audit project with squeezing this work in between the daily audit work. It can be really time consuming because reviewing body-worn camera videos can be very, very time consuming. But the results from the first district that we audited are being compiled and the team is moving on to the next district. So hopefully at our next monthly meeting where I present, we might be able to speak a little bit more about the results of that. Continuing with complaint intake and PDI hearings, all of those volumes have gone up for staff as well. We are doing candidate interviews for our open position and recently started doing a few directive reviews and coordinating with the department when they make updates to their directives and providing some feedback when those come through. And I think that is truly my last slide. So any questions from the commissioners? I'd be happy to answer what I can.
Does any commissioner have a question for Miss Janine?
Hi, this is Commissioner Gonzalez. I have a question and maybe follow-up question. So in the report, there are a lot of different types of incidences. I didn't see one for police shootings.
Yeah, so typically the cases we're reviewing are about complaints that are made by people in Philly. And there are certain types of cases that if someone were to file a complaint about, they would be made into an internal case at Internal Affairs. And then we don't review those once those are completed. And also shooting incidents have their own process for how they are reviewed by the department and investigated that are really outside of this complaint against police process. So those don't come through this sort of workflow of complaints and investigations that my team engages with.
All right, so the follow-up question, what would be the CPOC role in police shootings, if any?
I can throw that to Tanya. I feel like she could probably speak on that a little bit better than I could.
Yeah. So we get to see the cases full circle. So we are at the scene when actual shootings happen. So we are actually there to watch them collect the evidence, to see them from the very beginning. We are there to monitor the case as it goes along. So when officers give statements, when witnesses give statements and things of that nature. And then at the very end, The police department has something called the Use of Force Review Board, and that's where all of the serious incidents of uses of force, primarily shootings, come before that board. That board is made up of pretty much every deputy commissioner and myself, and then we vote on them. So we are actually on the bookends and in the middle. So we're there when the shooting first happens, and we're there at the very end when it actually comes before the board to recommend discipline potentially for the officer, or to actually decide whether a shooting is in policy. Just so that the commission knows and the public knows, those cases take an extremely long time to get through PPD's system. So, for example, we just had a use of force review board on Tuesday, and some of the cases were from 2022, 2023. So it's not a very quick process, and we don't control that process. But we are there from the beginning, we are there in the middle, and we are there at the end when the case finally does come through to make a decision about whether the force was justified or not.
I guess the follow-up question would be, is there a reason why we couldn't, like, at least give an update? Doesn't have to be getting into the weeds of an update, but just say CPOC is, at this point, or intake or something, so that people know what our involvement is with police shootings. I don't know if that's possible.
We can talk about it. I'm not really sure what do you mean, what that would look like, just because, like I just said, we literally had a use of force review board, and we're hearing things. We heard cases from like 2023. So if you can tell me what exactly what you're hoping for, then we can probably talk offline or see if we can have the staff facilitate that. But because it's not our investigation, we're monitoring it, I'm not sure at what point, for example, Commissioner Gonzalez, you'd like a report out. So if something happens 6 months from now, would you like, I guess, if you could just say a little bit more, and then maybe it's more appropriate for us to talk offline to see if we can.
Yeah, I think,
I want to interject. I think we are getting into strategic plannings and internal operations. And Catherine, you may know, you may chime in at will, but I think when we talk about strategic planning and internal operations of this organization in that manner, then the best platform to do it in is in an executive session or amongst a committee of commissioners, not a quorum or a committee, but Catherine can best guide us in that round.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you for that. Yeah, definitely agree with that.
I'll echo what Tanya said. If Commissioner Gonzalez, did you want to state more specifically what kind of update you were thinking of? And then we can let you know if there's any legal restrictions that apply to that.
Well, I think like Commissioner Bennett said, I think we probably could maybe figure that out later. But my thing is just simple. If there's a police shooting and we get the complaint, at least if we state that we received the complaint, then that at least people in the community will know that we at least got the complaint. Getting into the weeds of it, we don't have to do that, but at some level, the community needs to know where, just on the surface, not into the weeds of it. I don't know if that makes any sense.
So one thing we do as CPOC does do is announce that it has been an officer-involved shooting, and I think we're out on the scene. That is published on social media. Within, as soon as we get it, I know that has been consistent to be posted on social media. We've actually pushed, the commissioners push for that, for the public to at least get an announcement. I don't know what when it comes to digging into the investigation and giving an update into an investigation. I know this question has arisen before, and once again, we do not want to expose the details of an investigation because we do not want to foil the investigation as it's going on. So I think what we're doing at this point, by saying, hey, officer involved shooting, and that's what we call it, OIS, officer involved shooting has taken place on this place. Boom, CPOC is on it. I think that's fine at this point. If we want to go on later and hold hearings in the community to actually in the community, the officer involved shooting happen on a case by case basis, we can go in the community and basically hold the hearing where the community can voice their concerns, and we can inform the community what we do as CPOC and what we intend to do as CPOC and how they can help us in our agenda as CPOC. But to actually say, hey, we found 28 shell casings, officer pulled it from he had a hidden gun in his vest. We cannot do that because we do not want to spoil an investigation. If we begin to spoil investigations, then the whole point of oversight is ruined.
Yep, understood, definitely. Yep, thank you for that.
But to Commissioner Gonzalez's point, and to the chair's point, I do welcome some of those sessions, strategy sessions. But I also just want to say to the public that one way to help this is if body-worn camera footage was released. I come from 2 jurisdictions, as you all know. I've done this work in New Orleans. I've done it in Dallas. I actually co-wrote the body release form policy in Dallas. That would help. And so you always, in the state of Pennsylvania, the releasing of footage is in the purview of the district attorney. So it would be nice for people to call the district attorney's office and say to District Attorney Krasner, we would really love for you to start releasing that body worn camera footage, right? Because I think that that would also help a lot with these things. Because I think to Commissioner Gonzalez, and I know this is where you were going with this, a lot of things is very hard because you just get a lot of verbiage from the police department or others saying this is what happened and no independent corroboration of things very early on, which can be very concerning for the community. If they just only hear from the police viewpoint how a shooting happened without any kind of way to kind of verify it, it's very problematic. So one of the things I would say to the community is that that would, really help if the city of Philadelphia released body-worn camera footage, but we can talk more about that probably at another time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you
And
so much.
I think this is another cry for community organization when we talk about release of body-worn camera, right? We want to build our community ventures, right? One of the biggest I'm gonna just say it. One of the key points in hiring Miss Tanya McCleary is she understood the need for community. So we had the same. We had the same vision for community organization. So with that being said, if we're gonna push for certain things in CPOC, we have to have those hubs outside in the community that are willing to work with CPOC and actually honor them as partners with CPOC. So, and that goes, so commissioners, build your network. Build your network. That's why we here. We here to continue to build this network and to emphasize civilian police oversight in the city of Philadelphia. I will repeat, civilian police oversight in the city of Philadelphia.
Looks like Commissioner Ruckman has her hand raised.
Thank you, Danny. I just
Vice Chair Rockman to be correct.
Yes, Vice Chair.
Thank you. I just wanted to first, and not to take away from Janine's great presentation. I wanted to acknowledge thank you, Janine, for the information that you provided us on this evening. We do not discount the work that you all put into providing these reports. for these meetings. And secondly, I also want to highlight that in the past meetings that we've had, Nick Cotto and his unit have done a great job at informing us and keeping us as abreast as they possibly can with the status of police shootings as they've been reported and monitored. And he definitely, at least the meetings that I've been on, which have been the majority of them, he's always led with CPOC continues to monitor these cases. And I think that in understanding the role of CPOC, but also the authority of CPOC, understanding that these relationships are being actively built. Oversight is still being pushed. Oversight is still being asked to be accepted. Oversight is still at the table with certain institutions and agencies, specifically the Philadelphia Police Department. So I just want to acknowledge that I do not believe that it is our staff that is withholding information. I think this is an active process and an ongoing situation where we are navigating the best way to get the information and then to share the information, right? I don't want the public to misinterpret the ask of commissioners and then what they may deem as the inability of CPOC to present that information immediately. I think that the staff at CPOC is doing the best that they can in navigating the monitoring of these cases as they go on. I think Executive Director McCleary did a great job at conveying also that cases take time. It's 2025, and you're talking about an 18-month time frame roughly between the time a police-involved shooting happens and then the time it's investigated, monitored, and then there's resolution. So practically speaking, the updates that we get in real time are probably better than what we would have gotten previously. So I just want to acknowledge the work of the CPOC staff, also acknowledging to the public that CPOC is actively working to improve these relationships and to ensure that they are able to communicate information the best way possible and in a timely fashion that meets the needs of the community. Thank you.
And I want to thank Commissioner Rockman for the vice chair. I just want to say to the public and to the commissioners, our partners in this work, I've been doing this for a really long time. And just about a month ago, I had an aha moment. Like, how you know stuff in your gut, but you can't articulate it. I dare to say, if you were to go to any city around the country that has oversight, there's always kind of barriers to the oversight office doing what the people wanted it to do. So I am so grateful. Commissioner Vice Chair Rockmount always has a way to me of putting things very succinctly and make it plain. So I want to thank you for making that plain. And then what happens in the process of trying to move forward, whatever the legislation is, the oversight agency is the one that looks bad. And I just had that light bulb go off on my head. I've been living that life, but it makes us look bad, right? Because it's always about, well, why aren't you doing this? Or why can't you deliver this? Because I thought you were supposed to be able to do this. And so it always makes the oversight agency look bad and normally not the police department. And so I really want to thank you for that because that's what happens a lot. We are moving this ball up the hill. Believe me, every day, my team, this commission, we are always trying to figure out how can we make that legislation that you all voted for real. And we spend our days doing that. And so thank you, Vice Chair Rockman. But I just wanted to just put that out for the community to realize that a lot of times it's set up in a way that who looks wanting in this dynamic is the agency, the oversight agency, and not normally the police department. And so I just wanted to put that out there because that had that light bulb go off for me not too long ago.
Yeah, thank you for that, everyone. I think everyone hit it right on the nose. Thank you for clarifying what I was trying to get at. And that's exactly it. It's about community. And, Tanya's right. They look at us and what are we doing? Well, I think everyone explained it pretty well. And I want to thank everyone for that.
Ms. Tanya?
Chair, I think that's it, unless the commission has more for us. Then it's
Upcoming
back over
events?
to you.
I think we got upcoming events. Do you want to take upcoming events?
I am drawing a blank right now. Anybody on my team want to help me?
The next CPOC
Sure,
meeting, public.
yeah.
Oh,
Go
the
ahead.
next public meetings. I'm sorry. Yes. Go ahead. You want to go ahead, Danny?
Sure, Chair, you can do it. The next, it's on the agenda listed. Next public meeting is August 14th at 6 p.m. Presentations from the Investigation Division and Outreach and Constituent Services Division be presented, and some upcoming open PBI hearings in the month of August include August 21st, 25th, and 28th, and they're all at 10 a.m. And those should be on the agenda as well as posted on our social media. And as always, call ahead of time if you intend to observe one of the PBI hearings.
Thank you, Danny. And with that being said, it's that time of the meeting again. Public comment, the time where we welcome the community comments. As always, I will be reading this colloquy verbatim to ensure that we maintain consistency in our public comment section of each meeting. And with that said, we welcome public comment and feedback. Please address your comments to myself, the chair. If you would like to speak, please provide your full name. We will not be unmuting anonymous participants. If you are a member of the media, please identify yourself as such. You can indicate you would like to speak by raising your hand or sending a request to the meeting host in the chat. You may also submit public comment through the chat. You will have 3 minutes to address the commissioners. I will keep the time and notify the board when 3 minutes have elapsed. Any documents or follow-up communications can be submitted to CPOC@phila.gov. That is CPOC@phila.gov. Public comments should be limited to the topic covered in this meeting. All public commenters must refrain from offensive language, threats, and/or harassment. Participants that violate these instructions will be removed from the meeting. While we welcome your public comments and feedback, commissioners may not be able to respond to your questions and comments during tonight's meeting. Every attempt will be made to follow up by phone or email after the meeting. You can contact the Citizens Police Oversight Commission using the email I stated earlier, that is cpoc@phila.gov, or you can call us using 215-685-0891. That is 215-685-0891. And with that being said, I'll open the meeting to public comments. Danny, do we have anyone?
I don't see any hands raised, and there are no questions currently in the chat.
Does any commissioner have anything to add at the moment? No commissioner has anything to add? Did any hands get risen? Nothing. Can I,
You can
Commissioner
make a motion.
hold on, Commissioner Rockmont, with that being said, after this motion, would you be willing to take us out before this motion?
Not a problem.
Give us our final words, please.
I would just like to, say thank you again and acknowledge all of the commissioners and the CPOC staff. What you saw, heard, and witnessed tonight is the coming of a new age. It is the opportunity for all of us to represent the work of CPOC, the commitment that we have to our community, and our dedication to true servanthood. So it is our ask, and I think that we can all agree on this, is that the more you continue to support and build your trust in us, is the more that we can execute with excellence for you. It is our goal collectively to do the best we can at maintaining oversight with each of our insight. So on behalf of the CPOC Commission and the CPOC staff, who is led by our dear and wonderful 10th Commissioner, we thank you. We are grateful for each and every one of you. And I just want to reaffirm for the CPOC staff, you all have been through a lot. And I hope that with this new commission and with the support of this commission, that you all are able to rest in knowing that we are here for you just as much as we are here for the community. So thank you to each and every one of you, and to our community in the city of Philadelphia. It is our pleasure to serve you. Thank you, Chair.
And with that being said, I would like to ask the person to introduce the commissioners to agency trauma, right? To give us our motion. So, Commissioner Enix Kenny, do I hear a motion?
Yes, I motion to, we're concluding the meeting for tonight. I motion to
ma'am.
conclude the meeting of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission for this evening, July 24th.
Commissioner Stewart, you heard that? I just want to make sure. Do I hear anyone second that motion?
I second that motion.
All right, I just want to make sure the public knows who all our commissioners are. That is Commissioner
Absolutely.
Enix Kenny with the motion to conclude the meeting for the night, and Commissioner Erica Stewart seconding that
Second the
motion.
motion. That's right.
So with that being said, all those in favor of adjourning this meeting or concluding this meeting for the evening, please say aye.
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 All
Aye.
those, there we go. All those not in favor, please say nay. And with that, the ayes have it. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a good meeting. It is a pleasure, as usual, on a bi-weekly basis to speak with you and present to you the efforts and achievements of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. And last, I would like to thank our host for the evening, our host always, Danny Guy, and our slide controller, our slide controller for the evening, General Counsel Catherine Twigg. You guys enjoy your evening.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.